Welcome to Graceful Art Designs. Today I'll be pouring out a mixture of colours, dark colours, and then over those dark colours I will be pouring some pearlescent white, and depending on how the white turns out, how it covers the other colours, I will shape it into whatever I see suits it. So it could be swans, it could be the little houses of the New Jerusalem. I've wanted to get this pearlescent white for a long time and haven't been able to. Finally I have it, and it's a Pebeo pearlescent white, and it looks very pretty. I've used the whole bottle, which is made enough for the bottom of this large container, obviously mixed with pouring medium and water. So I've poured out the blue, and it was kind of a sky blue, and now I'm going to add the red, which doesn't seem to be thick enough. I think I need to stir it. It's all settling at the bottom. Well, even if it's a little thinner than the blue, it doesn't matter. So I'm adding the red, and I'll sort of add it in little puddles here and there, little drizzles. Doesn't have to be always the same. And I like when you do little drizzles, it gives a nice sort of marbling effect. And then some yellow, which may turn green, it doesn't matter. Swans or whatever don't have to be one colour. They can be, I just want the effect of the pearlescent to give this sort of, lovely marbly shine. But adding the colours this way also gives a marbling effect. So afterwards I can either leave it to settle and then shape it while it's wet, or I can leave it to dry and then paint around whatever the blooms turn out to be. And so this is yellow ochre that I'm adding around the edges, just to make sure that the canvas is covered. And I'm going to now tilt it so that it's all evenly spread out before I pour on the white, pearlescent white, and the very dark Prussian blue. This is the marbling effect that I like, which I got with the red. Most of the yellow I tilted off, except that a little bit remained in that corner, and in this corner, which I really like the mixture of the red and the yellow ochre. And here I just picked up some drips from the table and put them back in because there was so little yellow left. There's one little bit there, but it doesn't matter. I just wanted a little bit of colour. So now I'm going to pour out the blue, which is not as dark as it looked in the bottle, to make the blooms. And then from the centre, I'm going to do little lines on the side to hopefully make sure that there's enough coverage for the birds or whatever I'm going to make. Because when you lay down the pearlescent paint, it doesn't behave like the other paints. It disperses or it sinks, or I guess depending on how it compares to them chemically, I don't know. It's very different. It's very slippery when you paint with it. So I think this will give me more coverage, and I do want that blue to show up, so I'll probably do another layer of blue. So now I'm pouring the pearlescent white, and it's coming out very thick, so it's really covering. Let me see if I can do it with a spoon. So this is how the paint has turned out so far. With a layer of blue, a layer of pearlescent, and now I'm going to add another layer of blue through the center, and also on these side bits, and then maybe another layer of pearlescent. Running out of blue. No, I wasn't running out of blue. The opening just seemed to have gotten stuck. So I'll just show you the beginning. I'm going to start in the center and blow upwards, and then I'll put the camera down. was quite a lot of paint on there, so I ended up blowing off a lot of the pearlescent, but that's okay. A lot of it has remained, and it's making some very nice, interesting designs. And now I'll leave it to dry or to settle. I'll give it half an hour to an hour, because it's quite cold here and I think it'll take a while to settle. And if it does dry out, then that's fine as well. I'll just shape it and paint away what I want to paint. But I think it could make some very pretty swans. That's what I'm thinking about. Or a pretty dove in flight. I'll see. Painting has dried, and it really is so lovely that I decided I was going to leave it to dry completely. I didn't want to disturb the paint as it was settling. And I also wanted to see if the dark blue would come to the fore at all, and it has here and there, but not a lot. Most of it is covered by the pearlescent white and also by the other blue. So there's just little bits of it here and there, but that's fine. So I will use the light blue to outline the birds, and I've decided I'm going to do some doves. As I was looking at all the different orientations, and I think I decided that this way or this way, this might be the best way to do 3 doves sort of facing into a center, but flying somewhere into the center. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to outline the doves with a large brush, and just with the blue, it's a round brush, but it's got a point, so I don't know what the actual name is, but I call it a round brush. But what I like is the point, because I can just make sort of light feathery marks to show where the birds are going to be. I'm using the same blue that I used to pour out the paint with, and trying not to have too much of it on my brush so that it's not soaking wet. And then I'm just kind of following the outlines of where the pearlescent paint has formed to make the shape of the dove. And I'm using one of the other paintings I did of doves as my guide. But I'm going to do the doves in a different sort of orientation, just for the outline. I need to look at it from time to time. So, because there's pearlescent, white and blue, doesn't mean that I had to make doves. I could have made anything. It's a realistic subject, but it's an abstract painting because it's made with abstract paint. Designs and pouring is not very realistic, but still it can look quite realistic. The subject can look quite realistic even if the background is very abstract. But I think it looks quite realistic in a sense, because the birds are this lovely white, and then you have the sky, which is blue, and then the clouds in the sky sort of floating around the white bits of fluff. So I think it's going to look quite nice. So that's the one bird, and as you can see, I've outlined him sort of following the contours of the white. And then this one, I've started his head in the middle of this big section of white, and then I'm going to draw this wing up there, and then this wing here, and then the tail down here, or it might be down here, part of it. And then I'll decide if I'm going to put in the third bird, or if I'm going to just paint away some of the white so as to just put more sky in and reveal the birds, because I don't want to do too much inside the birds. It's definitely a little easier shaping the subject when the painting is dry. The other reason why I decided not to do it while it was wet was because I was intent on using a toothpick, which would have given me a very nice fine line, but I was worried that I might accidentally touch the painting with my sleeve, which does happen from time to time. And when it happens, that just ruins the paint, because it's semi-dry and there's just no way to fix it. I have tried on some of my paintings and had absolutely no success with that. So, so I've waited until it was dry, and now though, although it looks nice, I don't know if it's enough. I don't know. I think maybe I should add some some of the blue into the sky around the bird so that the bird shows up as white and not as outlined in blue. So sometimes I want the blowout to be in the painting, in the subject and around it, but it's not always possible because you have to have a distinction between the two. So as much as I want to save these beautiful colors on the outside, it's a choice I have to make, either the outside or the inside. Otherwise it looks just like a bird that's been outlined, which I don't really want it to look like. So I found a compromise. I am outlining, I'm taking the blue and I'm just dragging it slightly away from the outline. Not all the way, and as it gets away, it gets thinner and thinner. And so I will be able to preserve some of the background as part of the sky, but just painting away the outline of the birds. So it's going to take a bit of imagination to do the outlines. That's how the birds are looking now that I've added the blue around them. And I'm going to just add a bit of the pearlescent where I need to form the beaks and to form the tops of the heads and the eyes, and perhaps a little, I'll add a little to the wings here and there where I've added too much blue, I think. So as you can see here on the bottom, I've dragged the blue right almost down, but not completely, and it's slightly thinner than what was closer to the birds because there I had outlined it. And yeah, I think it's going to look nice. I think it's going to look interesting. Managed to preserve a lot of the underneath, the underpainting of the blowout, and that's at least in the birds they are completely, those are all the colors of the blowout, so that's really what I wanted. This is how it's turned out. I had to add another layer of pearlescent. I went around the head of this one and the beak. I wanted some of the blue to be in the beak and then to be the outline of the pearl. And then I had to add some of it into the feathers because the blue seemed to have just been swallowed up by the painting underneath. Here you can see as well, it's like the blue has just disappeared and the painting underneath has come out. And so here in the body of the bird, there's a lot of blue, which I didn't add in. It was just suddenly now the blue is emerging from underneath now that I've added the blue around. But it's fine. I mean, I like it. I don't like the solidness of this feather here, but that was how the painting was. And so here it's more broken up, and that's better. But it just shows what you can do with, with acrylic pouring and with blowing out, and the different techniques you can use to utilize it in more interesting ways. It almost looks like the peak of a mountain underneath, sticking up. Anyway, I decided that although this is an ethereal painting and very abstract, I just wanted to make some little changes here and there. So I added a bit more pearlescent white into the side of that wing there. There was too much blue there. I decided that although this is an ethereal painting, I just wanted to make a few little changes. So I added some more pearlescent white to the edge of that wing there. I shortened the beak a little bit by adding more blue. I forgot to add a little touch of pearlescent to the eyes. I think I'll just do that. And I added some more pearlescent around there just to shape that part of the bird better, and some little thin lines of blue feathers there, as well as some blue into the pearlescent there to make more of a feathery look. So I think that completes the painting, and now I think it is definitely an ethereal painting of heavenly doves. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it's given you some ideas. You can see that there are endless possibilities of what you can do with liquid paint, fluid paint, acrylic pouring paint, whatever you want to call it. It's definitely an interesting journey to go on. So thank you for watching. Please like and comment, and let me know what you think of this style of painting. Bye for now.